Oh, thank God for that. I thought having a mental few minutes then. You know when everything just doesn't work and you go into complete meltdown. My last pass was telling me that I didn't have anything in it for GoToWebinar, which is absolute nonsense because I use it every single week about 3 times. And then I couldn't get into my last pass, and then I couldn't get into GoToWebinar because the username and password I've used, I'm not joking, for the last 20 years, wouldn't let me in. I just thought, I can't. What's happening?
No. Breathe. No, not pant. Breathe.
And your brain just tells you, just goes into meltdown because you're using the usernames and passwords that you know are right, and it's just telling you that they're wrong. And
my indicator of stress, and it hasn't happened to me, I don't think, since I sold the accountancy business, but the more stressed I was, the best indicator of it ever is to be standing at the cash point machine with your card in the wall and you can't remember your PIN number that you use. In those days, we used to use it all the time because we used to pay for things in cash, which you don't really do anymore. And you think, why can't I remember this number? It's like I know it as well as my name backwards. It's just weird.
I know. And we were in a hotel in London, and before I'd even got to the point of putting in my PIN, the man behind the counter said, "It says you've exceeded your PIN attempts." And I said, "Well, wait, you've been standing here. We haven't even tried once yet." And then I walked over to a UTM machine and it gave me cash straight away. So what was going on there? Anyway,
I don't know.
We're about to talk a lot about technology and how it helps us. And then we start this show by me not being able to log in.
It's a brand new day. Gotta take it on my way. Gotta take it on my way.
Welcome to Own It, Your Business and Your Life with Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. In this podcast, we're going to cover everything you need to embrace to become a successful entrepreneur, marketing, money, and much, much more. How to create a business doing just what you love. How to own it, your business and your life. This one will be fast, funny, feisty, and very lively. So sit back and enjoy the show.
It's a brand new day. Gotta take it on my way. Gotta take it on my way.
So how's your week been, Judith?
Oh, Nicola, you know this story, but the listener's going to have to catch up because I've had the most exceptional week I can remember in living memory. I need to set the scene first of all, which is this is the third podcast that you and I have recorded in 8 days because we're catching up from. We always used to have one in hand, so we would record it on a Wednesday, we go out a week on Friday. So the listeners are going to think the story I'm about to tell you has taken 3 weeks, but actually it's only taken 1 week. And what it is, I've sold the flat.
Yeah, I know, so quick.
So it went on the market on their website last Tuesday. I accepted an offer at full asking price on Friday. Over the weekend, Facebook found a new home for Mitzi, my pussycat.
Oh, that's brilliant.
And a new home for me. You don't know this yet. I'm going to live in Normandy in France for 6 months.
You're what?
I'm going to live in Normandy in France for 6
months.
months.
So excited, I can't tell you. That's
Listen, let me tell you why it's exciting for you. Do you know where New Haven is?
Yes.
How far is New Haven from where you live?
Oh, I don't know, half an hour drive?
Oh, I think less than that. I think it's between you and, well, we'll have a look later. It's near. If you get somebody to drop you there and get on the ferry, it's 17 miles from me on the other side.
No.
I can come and get you. You can have a weekend or a week in Normandy.
You're going to be overwhelmed with visitors. For someone who's such an introvert, you're going to have to manage this very carefully.
No. I'm only going to be overwhelmed by people I invite. And that's you. Okay. So.
Okay. And all our podcast listeners.
And also, just now, this village, this house. Well, first of all, my client, Facebook came up trumps with both of these solutions.
That's amazing.
But Mitzi's going to a client from Small Business Big Magic. And the house offer is coming from a client in Club 100. And the client is somebody who's featured on our podcast before. Her name is Christina, and she's Chilean. And she and her partner have a house in France. But when I first met her, they were living in Romania. And now they're living in Morocco because Christina's partner works for, I think it's called the Third Sector. I think she works for Save the Children or UNICEF or something like that. You know, they're saving the world, basically. And Morocco is actually a drive from France, quite a long one. And so they're already living in Morocco. They're going to come back a couple of times in May. I'm not exactly sure what the first visit's for, but the second visit is to pick up their car and drive it back down to Morocco. You go through France into Spain and across down at the bottom of Spain. And so that's all very exciting. It's going to have quite a lot of, well, first, the brilliant thing about Normandy, and people in Facebook offered me a lot of attractive cat sitting opportunities all around the UK, a lot of them in Scotland, Surrey, Sussex, Leicestershire. I was quite an abundance of offers to go cat sitting, which is, since I will be recently parted from Mitzi, it was fun and nice. But I thought the prospect, and Sarah will know about this, your sister, the prospect of moving house every 2 to 4 weeks with a gap in between now and again, I found that a bit stressful. So when Christina said, "Do you want to come to Normandy?" Yes, but even better than that, Normandy, of course, it won't have escaped you, they speak French. And my ultimate goal is St. Martin on the 1st of December, so I'll be able to spend 6 months boning up my French, which is where I'm going to be living in St. Martin, on the French side.
Talk about manifestation. I've never heard anything like it.
Honestly, from Friday night till Monday morning, it was at breathtaking speed. I could barely keep up myself, and I'm fast.
Oh my God, that is amazing. And I'm so excited because it's so close, and you'll be able to pop back to London whenever you want to, if you do.
Well, I've got to come back to London for the 17th of September when my client comes over from America. And actually the drive is no further than Manchester or Cornwall. It's, it's a couple of 100 miles.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's awesome. And I myself have been offered 2 weeks in Ibiza. So
lovely.
Because somebody Sue, who listens to the podcast, she realised that I wouldn't probably want to go to Greece so quickly without Steve, because we went together last year. And so she said, would you? Well, I'm going to go and stay in my sister's apartment in Ibiza town. Do you want to come and join me?
Oh, what a nice idea! One of the very few people in the world that one would consider holidaying with, actually.
Absolutely, and we've spent time together before, and I know we'll get on, get on like a house on fire. And it's
broadband. You'll have a mixture of a digital fest, and the two of you will go clubbing.
Well, clubbing probably not, Judith. Although Irving and I were talking about it the other night because he popped round for dinner with my son Nelson, and we were saying we've never been to Ibiza, even though we were in the music industry all those years. And he was saying that he's actually going to be there for 2 weeks with Phoebe and Nelson in July, and we should try and time it so that my visit coincides, and we can all go to Cafe Mambo, which is the Sunset Bar, which sounds really good fun.
Well, you've got to go clubbing. It's the home of David Guetta, or Guetta, however you say him. You know him?
Yeah, there's a lot of people live there apparently.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's the big DJ, isn't he? The big rock DJ. Well, he's a DJ who started as a DJ, and now he's got a live show and travels the world, and he's huge.
He's massive. Because I'm at the cutting edge of hip and cool, as you perfectly well know. Well, he's a fascinating man. He's an entrepreneur, basically.
Yeah, God, I'll have to bone up on him then, because he's been on the periphery of my awareness, because Ben, who used to go out with my niece, he now drums for a similar big DJ.
Yeah. Goes. The song that he's famous for is the one Titanium.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah, it's very good. Almost as much as I love Chandelier. Do you like Chandelier?
I don't think I know Chandelier, but I'll look it up immediately after the show.
It's fantastic. You'll love it.
Now, tell me. Tell me about your week. It couldn't possibly match up to mine, but tell me about your week.
No. I've been just quietly getting on with things, but you're going to hear most about my week in the What's Fueled Your Fire section.
Yes, I know, because I know what you've been up to.
So, shall we move on to that then?
Yes, go on then. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, all right then. Facebook video live. I've been sort of skirting around it because I'm not good with video really. I mean, I find I have to tidy up and blow dry my hair and so I thought I've got to get over all this, because the people who are killing it right now are killing it with video. And as we know, everything's going completely mobile. That's really come home to me, how much we've got to be on mobile. That's the postman.
I should just say he is early.
I know he is. It's disconcertingly so. So anyway, I thought I've got to get over myself about this. So I'm just going to I've got to give Sarah absolute credit here, because she spent the whole weekend puzzling out how it works, and she is now on it, and teaching me, and just puzzling out how to edit them, how to put captions on them, how to put a call to action at the end of them, all that wonderful stuff that we love. But I just had to front up and do it. So I did one on my page because that's got the most, it's got the least engagement, it's got the most followers and likes, but it's been pretty moribund recently. 3,500 people have liked it, but hardly anyone engages with the stuff we put on it. And as of the last look, I think that video in particular has had several hundred views, of presumably from people who've liked the page. So it's not just live. You attract viewers while you're live because they see you talking to them live in their timeline, which is intriguing, but they can't hear what you're saying. So when they click, they actually get the audio as well, and it's live. But then it auto archives onto your page, and you can go and do this editing thing where you put in calls to action and things, which is brilliant. So I did that I did a couple of those about our summit that we're going to talk a bit about in a minute. And then Dan Norris has got a 7-day startup challenge going. So it's a 7-day startup. Everyone goes into his big open group, and they get help with launching a business in 7 days. So not too late to join in on Dan Norris's 7-day startup challenge, people. He's only on day 2. He's giving live Snapchat and Facebook live advice, and obviously that's how I started Clicks and Leads. So I thoroughly endorse that process. But he said, if any of you in my pro group, because there's a pro group as well, which I'm in, he said, if anyone in the pro group has got anything to share with the open group, why don't you do it on Facebook Live video? Because you can actually do Facebook Live into groups and on pages as well as on your personal profile. So I thought, I've got to do this. So I wrote up 7 tips for getting your 7-day startup going with Facebook ads. And I stood up in front of my whiteboard, and I just, didn't worry about what I looked like. I didn't worry about, I just did it. And it beamed live into this group of 6,800 people. And as of this morning, it had been viewed by nearly 800 people with associated likes and comments and things. I mean, how else can you get in front of 700 potential customers, that easy?
Well, only by doing what you do, which is by being a pioneer, going first.
Yeah, absolutely. It was great fun. Sarah had to hold the camera because you can't do it on your. It took us a little while to figure this out. You can't actually do it on your desktop at all. Again, it's another thing that forces you to go mobile. So my iPad.
Sorry, Harry, you can't do it on your webcam. Is that what you're saying?
No, you have to do it on your mobile device. So I tried it on my iPad, and the iPad's so old and clunky now, it just kept freezing. So I thought that's unreliable. So I'm just going to do it on my lovely iPhone 6 Plus. Yep. And Sarah said her hand was shaking by the end of it, holding it up. Yes. So next thing I'm after now is a little tripod for my 6 Plus. So I'll be going off to Amazon to look for one of those later.
Honestly, in the time I've known you, the amount of money we've spent on, what do they call them? What's the word?
Gadgets.
Accessories to hold up various sorts of video camera.
Because I've got one that used to hold up my, what it was we used to use.
Yes, flip video. Video.
I've got one, but it doesn't. Of course, it doesn't work on my iPhone 6. So now I've got to buy a new one.
There's one. I hardly dare tell you this word. There's one that's called something like a spider, which has bendy arms and legs so that it can fit all things you want it to hold up.
Do you know what? I wonder if I could do something with my. Oh, I'm such an idiot. I've got a selfie stick. Of course, I have.
Oh yes. So you could be your own videoer.
I could do that, yeah. And there is anyway, we're getting completely distracted. Yeah. What fueled my fire this week was Facebook video and getting over myself, and the reach it's got is unbelievable because Facebook are pushing it hard. What about you then?
Well, yes, so something quite exciting has happened to me as well in this section. Do you remember last week, I think, it was one of the 2 calls we've done in the last week, I was telling you about the pay what you want, the most generous donation I'd ever had. Do you remember?
Oh, yes.
Yes. Well, this week, somebody's booked himself into my diary for next week. He's from Houston in Texas.
Oh.
And his email address involves the word mentor and entrepreneur, which is what I do for a living. And he says, you'll like this, there's a long message on the booking form. I have been using Pay What You Want model for the past 8 years with much delight and success in an industry where it is the norm. I am embarking on a new adventure where Pay What You Want is not the norm. However, I want to use and introduce this concept there, and I want to brainstorm about integrating the best of the existing pay what you want practices to create an optimal business model for generating profits and abundance.
Wow.
And he wants to pick my brains to do it with.
And he's using the pay what you want model on your
To
website.
buy the session. Yes, to buy the session. Isn't that exciting?
Well, he's not going to be paying $10, is he?
Well, I do hope not. I do hope not, but we shall see.
Well, the best thing is that it's moving you closer to a business model that you want to do.
I know.
So just by talking about it with him, it's going to move you closer psychologically to doing it.
Absolutely. And also, it's nice to know that he must have Googled pay what you want and found me and booked himself in for a session. And again, just like last week's pay what you want, he wants to do my very favourite thing, brainstorm.
Brainstorm. Brilliant.
So we've become pals on Facebook, and we had to do this syncing of the watches. And he was really fast on email like me, and I'd already Googled that Houston was 6 hours behind, and he booked himself in for 5 o'clock in the morning. But he sent me an email saying, what time is it where you are now? And we agreed on the timing, which is so great. We just did it in seconds. I like the sound of him already.
Lots of great people live in Houston, Texas. I was gutted that we couldn't stop there on our drive across America, because we have a lot of friends there, and it would have been great fun to stop. It's got a very vibrant music scene as well, apparently. So it's a great place.
I did change planes in Houston, Texas once, and it didn't go well, and I burst into tears. Is it where Sue O'Kell's friend Big Al lives?
Yeah, it might be.
I think it might be. Yeah.
You must send me his thing on Facebook so I can check him out, and I might even know him.
Yes. I don't think you would. I tell you who I think. I think one way he might have found me is that Barbara Winter, I don't know if you know Barbara Winter, she runs a program in America called Joyfully Jobless, and she's been doing that for sort of 30 years, maybe more. She's a little bit older than me. She's well hooked into the John Williams 30-Day Challenge type of group in the UK, and she's very active on Facebook, and she gets very cross if people don't engage with her. If they're just broadcasting, she gets very cross.
Yeah.
And we have a nice relationship, and you've got to shut your ears to this bit, but some of the listeners might be interested. She sends out, and has done since God was a lad, a printed newsletter, like, actually, funnily enough, like people like Peter Thompson and you know, those sorts of people. And she loves putting it together, and she takes delivery of them, and she puts them in envelopes, and she sends them all over the world. And this month's episode, it features an article by me, which is rather nice. And I think it's that connection that has caused this man, because I can see the only friend we have in common is Barbara.
Oh, okay. That's a nice thing, isn't it, where you can see how people...
Yes, it is. It is nice, yes.
Just to let you know, I was talking about Dan Norris and doing that thing into his group. In the comments underneath that was a man called Richard. So Richard, if you're listening, this is your shout out. And he said he'd actually been binge listening to this podcast all day, just as my video came up. So he said it was lovely to see the face behind the voice, because he's been listening. We've done 70 odd episodes now. How many days would it take to listen to 70 episodes?
So talk amongst yourselves. I'll work that out for you. Let's give him 8 hours off a day. So 24 minus 8.
I'm just going to go find his surname. So we can give him
75 divided by 16. Well, 5 days if you did nothing else.
7. Hang on a second.
I think Richard, while you're looking up Richard, I think our podcast is great, but I'm not sure even I could binge listen to it across a number of days.
I do occasionally listen back to it just to have a bit of a laugh, but we did listen to it when we were driving across America. So yes, here we go. One second, caller, and we'll give Richard a proper shout out.
Actually,
I'm so sorry. It's not Richard at all. It's Rochelle Olsen.
Oh, it's a lady.
It's a lady, and now I was a bit shocked to hear that a bloke had binge listened to us. To be fair, Rochelle, thank you very much. We really appreciate your kind comments, and the fact that you made them in a group with 6,000 odd people must mean that we've got some new listeners. It must do. So we really appreciate.
And I'm imagining from Rochelle's name, she probably lives in America or something like that, don't you think?
Or Australia.
It's lovely to know actually that the Englishness translates.
Yes. Well, I think they've been watching enough episodes of The Office to get us now. A word from our sponsors. This podcast is sponsored by clicksandleads.com. Clicksandleads.com believe in affordable traffic and leads for everyone. They'll set up your Facebook ad campaign, page likes, leads or remarketing, then they'll manage it for you. They'll even split test your ads and audiences to find the best performing ones. Game-changing marketing from clicksandleads.com. Oh, well, God, I'm worn out already. Client opportunity of the week, Judith. You get
Okay,
to go.
so in one of the last 2 weeks' episodes, I can't remember whether it was last Fridays or last Wednesdays, i.e. the ones that you and I have been talking about, somebody had a genius idea. You had a genius idea. You talked to us about the fact that you have become, or that virtual summits are making a comeback, and we both agreed within seconds, somewhat to your surprise, that we would do one, the Own It, the podcast virtual summit. So that's the introduction. You take it from there, Nicola, because you've gone, in your typical style, you've gone off gangbusters on this.
Nine on the fast start at the Colby Index.
Mm.
Don't. This is a word of warning to anyone. Don't come to me with an idea or be around me when I have an idea, because before you wake up the next morning, it will be implemented. There will be no backing out. I think I was thinking about this in the shower this morning. I was thinking how this is my way of testing ideas. If I get the momentum going and the momentum keeps going and it builds and builds, as this one is, and the excitement builds and builds, I keep going with something. But if I get up in the morning and have an idea and put a landing page up and drive some traffic and nothing happens, then that's a great way of testing whether something's got legs on its own. And so, putting it into action is, Dan's 7-day startup thing again, isn't it? Get it out there, see if it resonates with people, and this certainly does resonate with people. So our idea is to have. I tell you where we got the idea is both of us being interviewed by. You were interviewed by Isabella, weren't you?
Yes, I was.
From New Media Europe, and I'm going to be actually on the live summit because I've got to get up at 5 a.m. for that one. So that was the only time I could do it. So
What's he doing? He's podcasting live for 36 hours, more than a day, isn't it?
36 hours straight. That's hang on a second, it'll come to you. Mike Russell. It's Mike Russell, isn't it? Mike Fella. And it's exciting. And I got swept up with the excitement of his event, and I thought, oh God, wouldn't it be great to do one? And so we are doing one, and it's going to be Beyond the Laptop Lifestyle. Now, you take over and tell them what that means.
Okay, so in fact, we're doing our first interview tomorrow morning, and I'm interested to ask this person about it tomorrow morning, which is the concept of the laptop lifestyle is rather cheesy and hackneyed and been held out as desirable for quite a long time. And you and I have been to a gazillion live events where it's all about how wonderful it would be if we could be free to travel the world with our laptops. And you see those pictures of skinny women and hunky men sitting on the beach in full glare of sunlight with their laptops not plugged in. And I wonder, how on earth do they do that? I haven't got the battery for it, and I can't see in the daylight of my laptop. But anyway, beyond the laptop
signal either.
No, beyond the laptop lifestyle is something like somebody who's taken that broad concept and made it their own and improved it. So they're doing either one of two things, and one of them is that they are they've created enough income to live that lifestyle, and the other one is that their passion-led business enables them to do whatever the heck they like. So it's beyond the laptop lifestyle. So it's beyond that cheesy dream. How are people actually making money online and living their lives with or without their children, traveling or in a having a wonderful life?
Yeah, and we know tech challenges can we tried to do the podcast from a beautiful Australian hotel, but the internet just wasn't up to it. We're not going to be able to blab or video anything with Justin Brooke and Chona, his wife, because he's in Bali and he's not convinced the internet will be strong enough there. So we're just going to do an audio interview for that one. But where possible, I'm going to do something with video. So it'll be a mix of audio and video interviews. And we've just come up with a great list of people that we know live a peripatetic lifestyle. Isn't that the word?
Peripatetic, indeed.
Yeah.
Yes.
God, that just popped into my head like magic, that did. And people who genuinely work and travel and make it work. And also people, we've just had confirmed Chris Barrow, who's obviously one of my favourite interviewees of all time, because he has gone from being a road warrior, as he calls it. Well, he is still a road warrior. He still goes out and visits dental surgeries, in situ. But he has gone from being a solopreneur, coach, speaker, business person to building an entire team around him in 2 locations. But he's still travelling. So he's going and doing the bit he loves and the bit he does best. But there is a whole support system been built around him now. And I'm so impressed the way he's gone about it with 7connections.com. It's just brilliant.
And the brilliant thing about his story, as I'm sure he'll tell us, is that he's had half a dozen, maybe 4 to 6 failed attempts at that in the 20 years that we've known him. But he's got there in the end because he persevered.
Yeah, and as anyone listening knows, he was on the island, the first series of the island, and we're on series 3 now on the television. And he was on the first series, and that meant going away from his business for a month, and it survived without him. So I think that really not only gave him perspective on what he wanted out of life, because he loved it, he loved being on the island, but it also gave him the thought that a team could do as well, if not better than him, at the business building part of it. So, yeah, we've got some great interviewees. We've got James Schramko has agreed. I'm absolutely thrilled because that man is a legend. He's built a multi-million business. He's got a team of outsourcers in the Philippines that he just pops over to see once a quarter. And he largely spends his time surfing now. He probably works a day a week, if that. So I'm really, really keen to get behind that, that story. And we're inviting some amazing people.
For some time, I've been working with my clients. The guy that paid me the big sum of money last week for the Pay What You Want, he said, what I want to do is go and live by the sea and surf every day and then motorbikes. And I said, is there any reason why you can't do that immediately? And there wasn't really.
Funny, isn't it?
But well, it is. I mean, the answer is it had taken him 10 years to get divorced, and in that time his children were quite grown up. But there was nothing stopping him now, which is why he consulted me last week, from immediately moving to live his ideal life. And the funny thing is about this idea, I wish I could remember whether we came up. I think we came up with it a week ago, 2 weeks in podcast terms. And so in a week, what's happened is it's now become, I feel completely overwhelmed because it's now become both the best and the worst time for me to be doing this because of the huge amount of extra work at the same time as I'm moving house. But of course, I'm just about to start living this life.
That is so spooky, isn't it?
But I'm just about to start living it in Normandy for 6 months and then in St Martin for 6 months. So I'm going to be able to be asking these people all the things I need to know about moving around the world with your business.
It's just incredible. I actually get goose pimples actually when I think about this and how how it's all coming together in this massive sort of it just I can't even think of the word. It's just an
well, I can. It's from that song. It's coming together in a heaving rush, Nicola. That's what it's happening. Now let me just think here a minute. Oh yes, the other point I wanted to make was everybody's saying to me, "Oh God, Judith, it's all so fast." It's not fast. I dreamed up my idea for St Martin in December 2006, which is 10 years to achieve my dream. And secondly, even before that, when I became a coach and first met you, 2002, I set up my business then to work globally on Skype. And I refuse all comers who want to come round and meet me because I know they won't be able to do that when I ultimately achieve my dream.
Yeah, it's very.
So there's no point, no point in allowing them to do that now because they'll get used to it and then I'll be gone.
Yeah, and I remember coming to your flat in the Docklands, gorgeous for you that was, and seeing your vision board and saying to you, "Where's that? It looks amazing." And you said it was St Martin, and I'm going to live there one day. I remember so clearly.
Yeah. But Nicola, do you know how many times I've lost heart on the dream in that last decade?
Oh, it must be hundreds.
Yeah, endlessly. There was a cash flow game here 2 summers ago, I think 2 years ago, and I said, come hell or high water, I'm going this December. So that would have been December 2014, I think. And I won't actually get there until December 2016, if I get there. But, so the step to Normandy is the first one. But it is, people are saying to me, gosh, this has all happened so fast. The flat on Friday, the cat on Saturday, Normandy on Monday. No, it's taken me a decade. And I'm not even there yet.
Guess what, Judith? You're a 10-year overnight success.
Well, I mean, the funny thing is, sometimes, that's why this last week has been so breathtaking. Sometimes I am a long-term, medium and long-term manifestor. Normally things don't come at me quite as quickly as this.
But I think it's the whole point about, as you say, putting things in place, bearing in mind your ultimate goal. It's like me, I flatly refuse to save anything onto my laptop anymore or my desktop.
Yeah.
It's all in the cloud.
Yeah.
I could
Yes.
just go and, like Gary V, work from my mobile if I had to, and that's taken some doing and some overcoming of inner reservations and inner habits and things. But you just
Well,
in the end.
That's why I'm so minimalist. I took on a solicitor this week to sell the flat for me, and I said I don't want anything in the post because after I move from here, I'll be of no fixed abode. So I have to train her staff during the relationship not to send me anything in the post because I won't have an address to send it to. And I've gone 100% digital on books. Excuse me. I've spent the last 8 years since I've been living here just getting rid of stuff so that I could at any time, work from anywhere in the world.
Yeah, that's going to be, you're going to have an address, aren't you? Well, your brother's address will be fine, wouldn't it?
No, I'm not going to have an address. Why do I need an address?
Well, because when you fill in things online to get a bit of software or something, you have to put an address down.
Well, I will buy a virtual office.
Okay.
And I won't use, it's unfair to use people's addresses in the UK, but my business partner in the cleaning business is going to help me out a bit with things like that. In fact, I'm going to move my files down to her almost immediately so that we can practice that before I go on the move. There'll be a bit of, you need a person with a scanner, that's all you need.
Oh, okay. This will be interesting. It'll be really interesting for our podcast listeners, won't it? To actually not only what we're going to do with the summit is every week on the project update section, we're going to tell you what we've done that week and what the results have been in terms of putting the summit together and marketing it. And then they're going to be able to listen to you gradually moving to the point where you just up sticks and go to Normandy en route.
I know.
To Martin.
Well, you know what it's going to mean for us, actually? It's going to be a reversal of what's happened to us in the last 18 months, where you've been to, where were you? You were in Australia. Yeah, you were Australia. You were in Malta, Australia, and three places you've been where we couldn't, that's it, Vegas, where we couldn't actually do the podcast. I'm sure it's going to make me less reliable. I mean, I remember when I was your client and you went to live in Spain and then moved to Greece or vice versa, and I completely lost patience with you because you were never in the right place at the right time to keep our appointments. And I think I stormed off, actually. I was still committed to the programme, but I just couldn't be asked with you faffing me around. And I'm going to have to become that person slightly, because when you start travelling, you can't rely on, I've got 24/7 broadband here in London. That's not necessarily going to happen when I'm in the sticks. This village in Normandy's got 168 inhabitants.
168?
Yes, 168 people live in that village. I don't imagine the Wi-Fi is quite as reliable as it is here in South London. And in St Martin, if some div cuts through the cable, we're down for 3 days. So yeah. I'm going to become, well, let's use the word flexible, shall we? Which in my world is a bit flaky. My clients are probably going to lose patience with me as well if I'm not in the place where I said I would be. They're used to me being uber reliable, me.
Yeah, but it doesn't hurt if you're living the lifestyle that people aspire to, whether it's laptop or mobile. I've realised we should have called it beyond the mobile lifestyle. Then they can't get mad with you if things are beyond outside your control, and you'll just have to attract the kind of clients that are not so incredibly uptight and set in their ways that they can't.
Well, I don't think they are, Nicola. I think the only person who's uptight and set in their ways is me, and that's the adventure here. My values are about being 100% reliable, and I won't be able to be that because it's going to be outside my control when I'm on the move.
I've just had another brilliant idea. I'm full of them this week. You've got to write a book as you go.
Oh, I'm definitely going to write the book as I go, and actually last week was the beginning of the story.
And are you, because you can blog it and then give it to an editor and turn into.
Well, I'm not sure I want to blog it because there are some. I'd probably write it on Scrivener. I don't think I want to blog it because actually part of the adventure for me is privacy and escape, and I don't want people turning up at my door saying, "Can we stay overnight in Normandy because we know where you are."
We'll have to take very generic pictures, and they could be like a treasure hunt. We can all try and work out where you are.
Yes, I unusually for me, I don't think I'll blog it. I'll see, but yes, I'm already documenting it so that I don't forget any detail, and it's very exciting. And somebody, a friend of our mutual acquaintance, already embedded the book idea. She thought she was being subtle, but I was ahead of her. She said something that would make a great book, which was her coaching way of not saying, "Oh, you must write the book about this." It was great.
Judith Morgan, the new Elizabeth Gilbert stroke Cheryl Strayed.
Oh, well, that's very kind, but I don't think actually, funnily enough, that's a good point for this, because what we want beyond the laptop lifestyle to be about is inspirational in a real way. Do you know what I mean by that? Like real people. The lady we're interviewing tomorrow is just like you and me, and she's doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be, all the people that we're interviewing are doing it. And, Michael and Kayla travel the world and they live in Hiltons and and Airbnbs, Hiltons and what's the other big hotel chain? And, Ritz's and things. And they just accumulate these incredible amounts of points every time they travel, the flights and things. And it's actually cheaper for them to live like that than it is to live in an actual house in, Santa Barbara or wherever it was they were living. So I'm looking forward to talking to them. They're great fun, and they're doing. I mean, everyone that we're interviewing is actually doing it, or they're living a passionate lifestyle, and their online income is funding that passionate lifestyle. It's not about making millions, is it? It's about living the life you want to live.
Yes, like the seaside and the surfing and the motorbikes.
Absolutely. So, word of the week then.
Well, I think I've had this before, and I normally don't allow you to have words that we've had before, but I'm choosing yes, because although we're not attached to the outcome when we invite these people to be our speakers, it's so exciting when they say yes, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I nearly had a heart attack yesterday with some of the people that were saying yes. I was unbearably excited yesterday. I
realise also I like people that say yes to life, and there was the last time I used this word yes, Sarah was reading a book about yes. Shona's the one that the lady that invented.
I read it as well. The year of saying yes.
Yes, and the yes man, Danny, whatever his name is, Danny Wallace. That's it. It's an exciting. When these people that you hope will be on your summit say yes, it's a marvellous feeling.
Yeah, it is. And the year of saying yes was what made me say yes to the road trip across America, and then yes to going to Australia. And I was out with Kim last night, who you met the other week, and she said, in a way, that all of that saying yes to those travelling has made Steve's dying easier, because you were already starting to live a life that wasn't necessarily tethered to him. And he encouraged me to do that as well. So, I think even it's inspiring for people who even don't want to live that lifestyle themselves. It's still inspiring for them to watch you do it and hear about the adventures on the way.
Now, I'm going to advance a woo-woo theory now, and you won't like it, but some of our listeners will get it. The fact that you were beginning to do that gave permission to Steve to move on.
No, you're right. I don't like it.
No, I know. But people, that's what happens. That's what happens. People choose their time of their dying, and he was able to go.
Oh, that's I can't subscribe to that, because look at Thomas Leonard. He just sold Coach U. He was getting fit. He just moved into a gorgeous apartment, a dream apartment, and he was just starting to date again. And I just can't believe that he chose to go at that moment.
Well, it's not the living, breathing Thomas Leonard. It's the karmic Thomas Leonard. We won't go there because I know it's not your thing. But the people who think like me, and there are plenty of them on the podcast, will know that by you being more adventurous and him seeing you be more strong and brave in the things he taught you to be, gave him permission to leave. Anyway, we won't go there. That's my view. What's your word of the week?
Ignited. Because in true John Lee Dumas style, I am an entrepreneur on fire. I am ignited by this summit and ignited by Facebook Live video, and I'm just loving getting stuck into something new. But it's not something new. It's something that benefits. It's got synergy with both of our main businesses. It's benefiting both of our main businesses without being a distraction from our main business.
But I think it's also going to benefit the podcast, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. That's the whole point, isn't it?
Yeah.
We are just growing our listeners week by week, and now another 6,000 people have just had a ringing recommendation from Rochelle. Then I think it's just going to be, get bigger and bigger and bigger now, especially with all this exciting stuff to listen to. Do you remember we used to think we'll do it for a year and then we probably won't have anything else to talk about?
Well, that's a funny thing that's come up with the summit as well. At some point, you said, I think, we'll do it annually. And I went, should we just do the first one first? Because, you're not very good at sticking to stuff forever. Let's see. You did once before say on this podcast that the fact that I'm here, it has made you go on with it longer than you might have done.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, it's great fun doing it with you. And I get to talk to you once a week.
It's still fun. And then we'll do a summit in 2017 if this one's fun.
Yeah. Good stuff. Okay, so project updates then. This is where we share the practical stuff of what we've done this week to move the summit, to make the summit come from an idea into reality.
Well, by comparison to you, I've done almost nothing. I've set up our first interview tomorrow. I've invited all the people I want to interview. A few of them have said yes, and some haven't replied at all. I've set up the Facebook Pro group. I haven't really done very much. I'm intending to do most of mine on Friday this week, which is generally my day off. But I've been absolutely swamped with matters of a housing nature.
Yes, I know. And it's
so this week, all over to you on this section, because you've done masses of stuff.
Okay, the first thing I did was go and set up a Trello board, because I'm getting very used to using Trello now. In fact, I was teaching Phoebe how to use it yesterday for her Bali trip, and also her Instagram marketing. She's pretty much ready to start taking on a few clients now. And in fact, Judith, you don't know this, but we have now got an Instagram account for Own It the podcast. And she is working on building our following there and sharing our episodes and sharing the summit stuff and everything. So you didn't even know we had that, but we do. And so go and follow it. It's Own It the podcast on Instagram, and we have an Own It the podcast page on Facebook, obviously. And I'm going to set it up so that everything that gets put onto the Instagram account will also get tweeted, and then that'll cover the sort of main three bases there, I think. And so the first thing was to set up the Trello boards, and I've basically got things to cover. Right, social reach. I went and set up a Thunderclap campaign, and that was very easy to do. And I set the target at the lowest target. So if I can get to 100 people supporting us on Thunderclap, then we will get a Thunderclap just before the event. Now, what a Thunderclap is...
I was going to say, please tell us what a Thunderclap... I know what it is, but tell the listeners what it is.
Well, Dan Norris used it to tremendous effect, so I watched him use it. And basically, you go and set up a Thunderclap, and you get given... It's just a little page on the Thunderclap site, and you get given a URL, which I've redirected, ownitthepodcast.com/Thunderclap. If you go there, it'll redirect you. And then you just say, I'm going to support this event with my Facebook friends and my Twitter followers. And you do it twice. You have to do it twice. And what it does is it enables you to customize the message. It gives you a message to tweet or share. And it all happens on the same day at the same time. So suddenly, all over social media, there'll be 100 people minimum thunderclapping automatically. It happens automatically. So once you've set it up, you don't have to think about it again if you're the supporter. And it will be thunderclapping just everywhere, and our reach has gone to 139,000 people so far. So 26 people, I think it is, or it might be 30 by now. 30 people have said they'll support us, and their combined social reach is 139,000 people, which is just staggering when you think about it, isn't it?
It is staggering, yes. It's fascinating.
So even though this summit is not going to be live as such, in that we're pre-recording the interviews, we'll set it up for a day. And I'm going to be manning the chat, so it will be live in that thing. So each of one of the interviews will go out at a certain time, and it'll be free to attend any of the sessions you want to. But we are obviously going to be then making an offer of the recordings for people who can't make it live, and I will be there live on the chat, and I imagine you'll drop in and out as well.
Oh, I'd love to be there. Depending where I am, what's the mechanism for? I haven't asked you this question this week. What's the mechanism for the recordings going out at hourly intervals or 90-minute intervals across?
I'm glad you asked me that today, Judith, because I finally managed to work out how we got
good. I suddenly woke up in the middle of the night and thought, shit, how do we do that?
You can apparently do it with GoToWebinar. I could actually be on GoToWebinar and then on the hour, every hour, play a recording. But then the other thing I could do is set it up on EverWebinar, which is a part of Webinar Jam, so that people go and register for individual sessions. So I'm not sure which is the best way to do it yet. So I'm going to have a think about that. I like the idea of it being on EverWebinar because it's less actual tech work for me to do on the day, and I can just concentrate on being on the chat and interacting.
Well, so do I, and I'd love to be on the chat as well. And if it can be automated in any way, that would be perfect, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And I actually think we're going to end up with more content than just a day. It might end up being the weekend, I think.
Well, I'm ready for it. Yeah, we've got some great people confirmed already. So that's sort of part of the tech. The other part of the tech is that obviously I had to go and immediately set up a landing page and a thank you page and a list in Infusionsoft. And I use lead pages, obviously, to do the landing page because I'm split testing the beach background, which we are using all over Facebook at the moment, and the London sunset background. And I love, it's astonishing when you set up landing pages how much difference the background image can make to your conversions. And you can never second guess what's going to work and what isn't. So test your landing page background image. And then obviously, when they get to a thank you page, I chose the lead pages thank you page that enables people to tweet and share on Facebook. So encouraging, again, the social reach and making it easy for people to share it once they've just opted in. We've had 102 visitors to the landing page. And then we've had 23 opt-ins, which is it's not brilliant, actually. I would have expected a higher opt-in rate than that, but I'll have a look and see in a minute which background image is converting best. And we're building a Facebook audience of people who visit the page and people who visit the page and don't opt in. So when we get, the budget together, we can start doing remarketing at the very least, which is a very cheap way of going back to the people who didn't take the action you wanted them to take and reminding them to do that. But I'm going to build the actual event page this week, and I'll be using I'm torn between a lead page, which is for a live event, and a Studio Press page. I've got a Studio Press page which looks absolutely gorgeous, so I think I'm probably going to go with that because I'm getting much more obsessed with good design nowadays.
And am I right in thinking you bought a URL? Don't tell us what it is if you don't want us to know yet, but did you buy a URL? Are you building a website?
I did, yes. It's I played with the idea of just having a page on Own It. Then I thought it would look a lot more professional if we do Own It, the summit.com. So I went and got that, and I couldn't bear the thought of anyone else getting it, which is a danger if you're doing something that gets a lot of reach. So I wanted to secure the domain name. Then I thought, for God's sake, I'm just going to put a website on it. So Chachi's setting that up as it is. And I've also put it on my WP Engine hosting because WP Engine will be able to cope with a massive traffic all at once should anyone.
Okay. And I noticed you put it on. You cleverly put it on the nav bar on the Own It site as well. So anybody that listens to the podcast from our site, which is the links we post every week.
I did that again, redirect, so basically yes. I knew that I would be able to redirect that summit page to anything we wanted to send the traffic to. So
yeah. And what is your vision? Why do we need to own the URL of it? What are you going to use that for?
Well, I'm going to put the event website on it, and the reason I wanted to, because Own It the Summit, and then there's Own It the podcast.com, and we've got both, and it's to secure our intellectual property more than anything. So I'm going to be, as the other thing I've done is, as people have been confirming, I've been going to their Facebook profile and taking their profile picture, which you can assume is the one they like best, and I'm putting a big green tick next to it and a little bit, and I'm sharing it onto Instagram as they confirm, and that's getting a lot of traction. We're getting 50 to 60 likes on each one of those pictures, and that will give Phoebe something to share onto the Own It Instagram account. You can tag people on Instagram as well. And then obviously I use Zapier, which we were talking about. I can't remember what we were talking about. I think Veronica Pullen was talking about it and asked a question that she's writing an article, isn't she, about people who use Zapier for different things.
I'm not sure, but she started a discussion, didn't she, in my favourably named High Performing Women about it.
Yes. Which I notice you're in now.
I've been a lurking member for some time. In the end, I just got over myself. But I hope you notice I bigged you up in it, if that's the expression.
Oh, you're always bigging me up, babe. Thank you very much. But anyway, back to Zapier. So what I've got with Zapier set up so that every person who opts into my list is fired into your MailChimp list. I've just realised we ought to put something to that effect on the landing page, so I'm going to do that. And
I'm getting some strange notifications. Should I still get notifications of that, even though you've automated it?
I can take you off the notifications if you like.
I don't mind that. I don't mind getting them. But anyway, there we go.
Yeah, okay. Well, you'll probably get them from MailChimp and Infusionsoft because I've got you set up to get them from Infusionsoft as well.
Okay.
And then the other thing we're going to do, obviously, is get the everything that is put on Instagram gets fired by Zapier straight onto all of my pages and my profile, my personal profile on Facebook, and it gets tweeted. So it's automating your content sharing. Zapier is a really inexpensive way to do that. So what else have we done this week?
So, well, first of all, let's just breathe. Gentle listener, you can see that Nicola is in tech heaven here.
Well, it's funny because I in my actual business I outsource everything now. I immediately think, who can I get to do that? But this is a bit more of a personal project, isn't it? So
It is, yes, it is.
so I'm enjoying.
Actually, what it is a hobby for you to fill the space in the next 3 months.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, that's right. Now the other thing I'd like to do is I would like to invest some of the sales of the proceeds for the recordings into getting a new Own It logo made, but we'll discuss that off air, because I'm starting to feel a little bit embarrassed about our logo, which I knocked together and it's done a great job for a year, but now I think we're going a bit more designery. I'd like to get it redone, but keep its essential elements. What else have we done? We've written an email template to go into Trello. We've got we're starting a guest do list template, and you've gone over the agreement that I used to use for Business Success Factory podcast.
Yeah, I need to go over it again because you rightly pointed out that it was a bit wordy and the crucial bit was down the bottom. So I'm going to just reorder this stuff. I'm going to put the crucial bit up the top and then the wordy down the bottom.
What you could do is just say the short version and the full version, and then have.
It's actually not a very long version. I can cut it down still further. I think I might put it all in bullet points anyway.
Yeah, that's good.
I think we've got this important point for listeners, because there's a contract. When people say that they'll be on it, we have to say to them in writing, we need your photo and your bio, and you're agreeing to be interviewed means we can do this, that, and the other. So there is a contractual issue here, because you don't want people cutting up rough with you about what you're going to do with the summit content later on. That's
right. And I got my wrist slapped very kindly by Justin Brooke, who is, I've been a fan of his for a long time. So we had breakfast in San Diego with him and his wife Chona. They're the ones traveling in Bali and Japan. And he said to me, all of this is great, and I can tell how excited you are, but it's all about you and the idea, and there's not enough what's in it for me. He said, you'll be selling this, and you'll be making money from it. And yes, you'll probably give me an affiliate link, but in order for me to get involved in supporting it, there's got to be what's in it for me, and get what's in it.
It's a typical creator stance, which is, I've had this marvellous idea.
Look at me, aren't we wonderful? Yeah. It is, and he was very sweet. He I rewrote the email, and he had another look at it for me, and then he said, he gave us tips on how to approach people, and it's working. So that's very cool. Thank you, Justin. Yeah, so we've done a lot. It's only 3 days, isn't it?
You've done a lot. Well, actually, I don't think you went to bed over the weekend. You were obsessed, weren't you?
No,
a woman obsessed.
No, but you know what? Just having someone to bounce it off of with who's involved, it doesn't matter who's actually doing what. It's the partner in crime bit, isn't it?
Well, I hope you're right, Nicola, because I'm feeling like the weakest link because of all of this what's going on in my life now, which
wouldn't be happening without you. So give over.
It's great that you went off like a rocket, which is the thing that you do, and that might have annoyed me in the past, but it's your strength. It's also your strength that you have in common with the woman we're interviewing tomorrow. She's exactly the same. I have an idea, and it's in action within moments. Yeah. And I think it's good that you did go off so fast, because I might have said to you on Saturday after I knew I was moving house, I'm not sure I can do it now because I've just got so many things to organise. But actually, by then, you were so far ahead with it. You'd even had people accept your invitations by Saturday morning, I think.
There was no backing out.
No, there wasn't. No backing out.
Okay, good. So in this section every week, we're going to update you with the practical things we've done and the results we've got. And so, that'll build into, we hope, a tuition product on how to put your own summit together. But we've also got somebody that we can recommend. So we've just been talking to them about how best to do that. She does summits for a living. And while we're not using her for this, it's not because of any particular reason, just because I can do it and I'm enjoying it and I've got plenty of time to do it. But if you would like to do a summer summit, by the end of this process, there will be a little tuition product, but there'll also be a referral to someone who can do it for you.
I think the brilliant thing about that is that the ordinary human being listening to you talk about the numbers of tech jobs involved will see how important it is to work with somebody who can take a lot of of the
Yeah.
responsibility off them, or teach them how to do it to best advantage.
Yeah. But the other lovely thing about this is, and I think it's the reason I'm so fired up about it again, is because we are creating a product on the fly, and it will be an evergreen product that will inspire people for years to come. And once it's done, we won't have to redo it unless we decide to do it again next year.
And also, can I say here at this point, the thing that I'm looking forward to most, of course I am, is almost the opposite side of that coin, which is that with one level of opportunity to buy the recordings comes membership of our pro group, where they'll be with us for a year and with some of the experts and other people who are wanting the support of a community who want to move into this dream work-life balance, business on the move opportunity. So that's my favourite bit, is I'm going to be able to work with some of our, the people that enjoy the content while I'm doing it in real time, and so some of them are doing it in real time as well.
And we'll be able to share some brilliant resources, won't we, in that group? Because
and stories and fun, and it's great. It's going to be great, isn't it?
How to get over challenges. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it just fires me up to think about moving quicker than I would have done. Right, who or what's impressed you this week then?
Well, you're going to think I'm balmy, but Kevin Costner, do you know who he is?
Of course I do, he's an actor.
He is an actor. He was on Graham Norton on Friday night. Now, he is an actor and a groundbreaking, he broke ground in the fact that he was one of the very first people to be an actor and a director, with Dances with Wolves and 2 other films. He was both actor and director, and that was 20 years ago. Now, the point of this story was he strode onto the set looking absolutely gorgeous, but he was deeply unconfident initially as an interviewee. He fumbled over his words and he was embarrassed and it was difficult. But the remainder of the couch was Helen Mirren, Ewan McGregor, Ricky Gervais. Ricky Gervais and Eric Bana, who's an Australian actor in a film with Ricky. They were all on the edge of their seats, literally leaning forward towards Kevin as he told the story that, for instance, his films were never supported by the studios, so he had to make them himself. He described it as buying his own roles. And in many respects, that's not successful. And in the early days, he was criticised quite a lot. Because, again, like Barrow, a lot of hit and misses. Like Entrepreneurs, a lot of hit and misses. And his films, my favourite film, and I watched it again after seeing him, is Field of Dreams. And he said that he went to the studios. With Dances with Wolves, they said no twice, so he made it himself. He said, I must have asked a second time because I didn't hear them the first time, which was so funny. But one of them, Bull Durham, which is about baseball, the Hollywood said no to, he wanted $4 million. It made $300 million.
Wow.
And he couldn't get $4 million to make that film. And what's interesting is the studio system couldn't see it, but the audience loved it.
That's just so inspiring. I'm going to go.
I know.
And what a lineup on the couch. That's incredible.
Well, I tell you what, skip the first half an hour, go straight in at minute 28 when Kevin comes on, and just watch how, Helen Mirren hardly says a word. Kevin does call her a bit, which is fine. But Ewan McGregor said, I remember when Dances Wolves came out when I was at drama college, and how inspirational it was. I've got goosebumps as I'm telling you the story, because it was just, the actors, you never really see much on that programme. They're all equal, but in this they were all hanging on his every word when he described something that was unique 20 years ago. It's quite commonplace now. They said, Ben Affleck, for instance, is often an actor director now, but he wouldn't have been if Kevin hadn't paved the way 20 years ago. That's
incredible. Well, an hour's happy viewing to be had there for us this week.
Yes, indeed. Yes. Now, what about you?
Well, she doesn't know I'm going to say this, and she's upstairs actually. I've been so impressed with Sarah this last week. She's not only Sarah, my sister, obviously, tinywebservices.com. She's not only helped me puzzle out. In fact, she just puzzled out Facebook Live video for me, knowing I think that she would want to use it, and I definitely would. And she just quietly, she's like Steve, she's a bit of a terrier when you give her a challenge, and she puzzled it all out. And she's also been learning Facebook ads, how to do, as part of my quest to remove myself from the process in the business so we can scale it. I've been training her, and she is just, it's like a mini me. She's just picked it up so quick, and She's just really creative and really techie, because that's what you have to be with Facebook ads. You have to be able to copyright and choose a good image, but you also have to be, quite attention to detail, almost OCD like, which I can be when hyper focused. But Sarah is, very good at methodically working through tasks as well. And then she's been a stalwart companion over the last few weeks, just being here. And she does house sitting, as you know, and she's off house sitting next week. And so I'll be on my own for the first time. But I'm also going to speak at Digital Kent event on Wednesday. So I've got something to break the week up with. But no, she's just been all round a good egg for the last few weeks. And I left her.
Sarah is a brick. I'm very fond of Sarah. I met her for the first time in New York when she lived in Australia, and she came to the 2005 Millionaire Mind Intensive with us. Do you remember? And she is a brick, but also she's terribly knowledgeable on tech, because she's sucked up everything for the last 15 years.
And you'll be astonished to hear that literally before we recorded this podcast, she came out of her bedroom on fire as well, because she's worked out a way to monetize that knowledge and give enormous value to lots of people at Tiny Web Services. So I won't steal her thunder on that one, but it's a great idea, and she seems fired up enough. And I'm gonna yap at her heels till she's done it. Oh, there you go. So that was a good episode, wasn't it? I thoroughly enjoyed that.
It was. And I hope that the listeners are going to enjoy us telling this story of the summit in real time over the next couple of months.
Yeah, we'd love to hear your comments. So come to Own It, the podcast page on Facebook. There is actually an open group you can join, which is if you go to ownitthepodcast.com, on the left-hand menu, there is a link to join the open group so you don't miss anything. So whether you prefer pages or groups, it's up to you. And keep watching. And Judith and I are now going to do a Facebook Live video just covering the concept again, aren't we? So I'll get you on video one day. You accidentally nearly set up a Blab account the other day, didn't you?
I tried, yes, but interested to hear that your man that you wanted, because you want to do some of these summit interviews on video using Blab, and I thought, oh well, I better get my name. I sort of stumbled because the only person I knew to invite was you, and you weren't available at the time. It was quite funny.
Cooking dinner Saturday night.
Yeah.
After you texted me that, I did go and secure my name because I realised I hadn't actually done it yet. So thanks for the.
Well, you'll need to show me how to do that, because they've got one of those pages where unless you test it, you can't work out how to. I couldn't work out how to do that. It forced me to do a test Blab.
Let me throw it out there. Why don't we just do the next thing on Blab right now?
Oh, no, then I'd need to be on video. I'd need to be on video, wouldn't I?
Yeah, well, if I can do it, looking like a pregnant mum with a big warty nose, then you can do it, surely. Anyway, there you go. We'll leave you there hanging, listeners.
Okay.
We'll update you on next podcast whether she went for it or not.
Okay.
Right, speak soon. Bye.
Okay, bye.
You've been listening to Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. The podcast is called Own It, Your Business and Your Life. Do come and visit us at ownitthepodcast.com. We'd love to hear your feedback. You can find out more about Judith and visit her on her website at judithmorgan.com, and you can find Nicola at nicolacairncross.com.